Good day and welcome to the Icon Plus 365 Besser presentation. Please note this webinar is being recorded and all participants are in a listen-only mode. You may submit the questions at any time via the Q&A panel at the bottom of your screen. It is now my pleasure to turn the call over to Dwayne Rondow. Please go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. As Amy said, my name is Dwayne Rondow. Vice President of Engineering and Technical Sales here at Besser. I've been doing this for 36 years now. Ralph, you on?
My name is Ralph Schlereth, Regional Sales Manager for Canada and the Eastern US, and I have been with Besser, well, next week will be 34 years.
And we're going to do a dive into our X series of concrete products machines. That we did this at the actual, I think may have been the last actual in-person Icon show. So we wanted to bring this back and take a deeper dive into that. So go ahead, Ralph, get through with the agenda and we're good to go.
Okay, thanks, Dwayne. So go to the next slide here.
Just hit the button. There we go.
So this is the agenda for today. We're going to talk about the X series concrete products machine, do an overview of the features. We're going to actually present a video of the Ultrapac-X that was taken at Best Block in San Antonio, Texas, and just the features of the X. And then also with the X series machine, enhancements for what we can do for the current CAM machines to bring them up to the same standard as the X.
And we're going to do a couple of fun little things here that we've never done before, but we're going to take a poll here and see, ask you a couple questions, get some answers from the audience, see which direction we're going here. So we want to know, what's your biggest production headache? Is it batching, mold and height changes, product handling, curing, or cubing? So we'll give you about 30 seconds here to think about it, select your answer. Amy will give you a little warning when we're getting close to being the end here.
All right, we got about 10 more seconds if you'll go ahead and make your selection. All right, Dwayne, I'm going to go ahead and end that poll and share the results with you.
Wonderful. Great. We see the mold and height changes are 71%. So that's a good thing because the X series is all about mold and height changes.
Yes, that falls into the wheelhouse well for this presentation, absolutely.
Okay, let's get a little lag here from hitting the button to proceed.
So quick overview here of the X series. This is basically an Ultrapac. So product height range will be from 2-inch to 10-inch in height. Production speed in line with the Ultrapac will be at 9 cycles per minute. And we do the machine, we call it the Ultrapac-X, but it is also available as a Dynapac or even as a Super Pack version. So the pallet sizes will be for 3 at a time, 18.5 by 20.5 depth, and up to 55 inches wide, 26 inches deep.
Okay, so we're going to kind of divvy this up into the feeding section of the machine, into the forming section, and then we'll hit the changeover and setup features.
So Dwayne, maybe before we get started on that, we could share the Best Block video, kind of give everybody an overview of the machine before we actually dive into the features.
Okay.
So this is the Ultrapac-X that's installed in San Antonio, Texas.
The design team collaborated closely and critically explored every aspect of the Ultrapac. The result is a machine that blends the proven precision of CAM operation with automated features that take the machine to the next level of flexibility. Overall production efficiency is improved as mold and height changes are faster and critical adjustments are automated. The proof is in the dimensionally precise, dense, and aesthetically pleasing concrete products that are produced cycle after cycle. The Ultrapac-X features Quick Change Advanced Servo Vibration for quicker mold changes without using any tools. Stripper head frame with head clamps for faster mold changes with a focus on safety. Hopper with dosing drum and laser for precise feeding of material into the feed box. The inner frame is automatically for height changes. The stripper head linkage is replaced by a cylinder which controls the stripping depth and also eliminates the need for spring gap adjustment. An electric motor with 4 ball jacks raises and lowers the inner frame and locks it into place. The adjustable cutoff bar allows the operator to have the cutoff bar high when going over the feed box and then lowering it to clean the material off the mold top plate. This also replaces the auto feed mechanism for keeping the amount of material left in the mold level. The stripper head safety chain has been replaced by a hydraulic lock, seen on the top left, which will lock the stripper head frame in a safe position for cleaning the stripper shoes and the agitator grid. Quick adjust height pin, easy to manually adjust. Auto adjust apron plate, quicker mold change with easier machine setup, reducing material spillage and ensuring no vibration dampening.
Okay.
Okay, Wayne, if you'll go ahead and request that.
Yep, I just did. So I should have control here.
Hit the request button for me.
Okay.
All right, and then click to engage. You've got it.
Okay, I think we're good. There we go. So we gave you a little a taste of what's to come here with the video, but we got three main pieces that we're going to do: the feeding section, the forming section, and then all the fun little things that we're doing to make your life easier with changeovers and setup for new products. So the feeding section, I mentioned the dosing drum. So previous CAM machines had just a hopper that went directly into a feed box, and the feed box top plate cut the material off. But basically it filled the feed drawer or the feed box every time. So what we want to do is now meter the material into the feed box, get the right amount of material so that we're not overfeeding, we're not throwing material off the front. So the dosing drum allows us to do that. So in the front of it, you can see there's multiple cylinders on there, depending on the width of the pallet or production that you're doing. We can adjust the time that you open it. And then we can also change the speed of the drum to help pull material out of the hopper. On the back side of it, from the picture on the right, you can see there's a little orange scraper. So we're scraping that drum clean, and all that material goes back into the feed box. And then the little circle on the left there is the laser, and that's what's actually measuring the amount of material that goes into the feed box. So as the gates are open, we can either do it by time, or we can actually use the laser and get the amount of material into the feed box, so it's the same cycle after cycle. The cutoff bar is basically the same cutoff bar that we've been using for the last 70 years here. But what's neat about this is that we can adjust it up and down. Previous CAM machines, the auto feed mechanism raised and lowered the cutoff bar by changing the tracks. So when you raised it up or put it down, it changed the angle that the tracks were at. So it automatically gave more material at the front than at the back. But with the adjustable cutoff bar, we have an independent cylinder that will have an encoder or a transducer on it, and we can profile the material going into the mold so that we can come out with it high, we can lower it in the front and scrape it back clean, or we can leave it high and then taper it back as we go back there. So it gives you a lot more flexibility for feeding. One thing I didn't mention, talking about feeding, is that with multiple gates, go back one slide here, multiple gates, you can use one time on the right gate versus the left gate so that closes a little bit more, so you have less material in the feed box on one side. So if you're making 2 standard stretchers and a bond beam or something on the third cavity, you can limit the material going into that bond beam. Also made it easier to adjust the apron plate. Basically, it's basically a push button. So what happens is we put 2 cylinders on the back end of the apron plate, and you press a button after you change the mold, it pushes the apron plate up against the mold top plate. And then once it senses that mold top plate, it will back off a certain amount. There's a manifold in there that has a set amount of oil that will actually push that back, which is adjustable. So typically you'll have a putty knife or a piece of strapping that you'll stick in there. So you can do that once, and every time you do it now, no matter what the cutoff bar or the top plate is, it will always come back that 32nd of an inch. So Ralph, you want to get into the forming?
Yeah, absolutely. So about 14 years ago, when we introduced the Servo-Pac Classic, we introduced servo vibration on those machines. And the servo vibration really is to try to achieve vertical vibration. And to do that, we need the vibrators to stay in sync. So using servo motors, each one has an encoder. So we know the position of the vibrator shaft as it spins. And so when we start the vibration, and as the vibration is running, it will actually stay in time. We don't get that side-to-side motion. We get a truly vertical vibration. In addition to that, the vibrator motors are coupled directly to the vibrator shafts. So there is no slippage when you start and when you stop those vibrator shafts. Again, the fully synchronized vibration really is a function of those encoders and being able to compare the position of the left shaft to the position of the right shaft. We can change speeds on these. So basically, if you're going to run a paver unit or something that you want to finish at a higher speed, we can get this up to about 3,000 RPM. And conversely, if we wanted to feed it with a lower vibration, we can go down to about 2,100 RPM and just kind of, if you will, fluff the material in the box and then turn that vibration off, have the feed box reverse, the head come down, and then start the vibration at whatever RPM you wanted. It can be significantly different from your feed. Nice feature to that is if you're doing a cap unit and you have a lot of material in the front of the box that typically would roll back and give you a rough edge, the ability to turn that vibration off and actually get the head down into the mold will give you a crisper edge across the front of it. Material jumping out of the feed box. So we'll show you a video here in a little bit, but we're able to really control where that material goes and prevent it from going left side to right side. Feed and finish times, again, because we can precisely dial in how we feed it and how we finish it, overall, we can get a faster cycle rate. Dwayne, if you can go to the next one. We got a video here for the main servo drive.
There we go.
So in addition to using servo drives for the vibrators, we've also introduced it for the main drive. So we're able to get rid of the Besser, and we're able to actually control the machine six different speeds within a single revolution. So that gives us the ability to slow down the feed box as it reverses. You can slow down the strip if it's a very thin unit and it's fragile. So different speeds for different functions. And at the same time, as the machine rises up and really has no integral function, we can speed it up, and that'll take care of some of the speed loss that we might get when we're trying to slow the feed box down or slow the strip down. The servo drives also gives us a ramp up and ramp down feature. So when we enter what we call first stop or feeding, or second stop, which is where we finish, the machine stops and we get a lot of shock through the drivetrain at that point. So the servo drives gives us a ramp down and then a ramp back out of those speeds. So significantly reduces the pinion and bull gear maintenance. The block delivery, so we can put freak drives on the block delivery. Remember, on the Pac series machine, it is independent delivery, but we can put freak drives on there that works in conjunction with the main drive, and we're able to smooth that whole transition down. The ability to run a wider range of products, it really is a function of controlling your vibration with the ASV, and then also being able to control the amount of material that we draw back as the machine feeds. So we also have a little video here. So this is a super slow motion video. It's actually a 1 second video, which over, I think it's a five minute video in total. We're just going to show you a little snip of it here. And basically what we want to do is we want to be able to compare the standard Bescodyne vibration to the ASV vibration. So what you see here is how the ASV, which is on the right-hand side, will actually be a truly vertical vibration. Standard vibration or Posipac vibration is on the left, and you'll be able to see how that mode, it will achieve synchronized vibration, but it takes a fair bit of time. And that amount of time is where we get our feeding advantage with the ASV, and also with our, when the head comes down, it aligns with the mode better with ASV, and we're able to increase our mode life on it. If you see the aggregate sitting on the mold there on the left-hand side, you see it dancing left to right. And you actually see the pallet separate from the pallet receiver rubbers and actually from the pallet itself. On the right-hand side, you see the material that's just dancing up and down vertical. It's not moving left and right. We are achieving, or we have achieved, vertical vibration at this point. And you can see the whole assembly is now moving together. The mold, the pallet, the rubbers, it's all moving together. If we wait long enough, you can just start to see on Posipac vibration, the feed box is actually now starting to dance a little bit.
You may notice too, if you see more anvil or more rubbers on the anvil on the right side, we've actually taken off the pallet receiver rubbers in every other one. So it is the same for anvils there.
Yeah, good point. Other than the paint, I mean, this is basically the same setup. We do add those rubbers in to stiffen up the pallet support system on some units.
Okay.
So, Dwayne, I'm going to give it back to you.
Yep. Okay. Get one more row here and then I'll take over.
Yes, I'm way ahead of myself here, right? So original ASV systems, as I said earlier, we couple the vibrator shaft directly to the servo motor. So on the original systems, what we had was a two-piece coupling. So when you went to change a mold, you would take two bolts out that would separate the coupling, and then the entire servo motor would swivel out of the way. When we introduced the Ultrapac-X Select, we enhanced that a little bit, where we had a three-prong coupling. It's a one-piece coupling, and we're able to slide the vibrator motor away from the vibrators, reducing the need to take those bolts out and split that coupling. So you may have seen on the video, they are able to pull that back about 6 or 8 inches, enough to disassemble the coupling, and then it pivots out of the way as our standard ones do. This is really a function of saving time when you're doing mode changes.
So speaking of saving time, we'd like to know how many height changes do you typically do per shift? So Amy, if you could put the actual poll up, we'll get going here. So we've got 0 to 2 all the way up to more than 9. So pick which one kind of describes your typical day, and we'll see how things work here.
All right, we've got a lot of participation. That is amazing.
Right.
So we'll give it about 10 more seconds. Go ahead and make your final selections. All right, we're going to go ahead and end that polling and share those results.
Okay, so we got 2, up to 2 a day. The next one is 3 to 4. And then we've got some that say there is 9+ per shift. So, even if you save, a minute or 2 minutes on each one of those mold changes, it's huge. And when we get into height changes, now you're talking hours, not minutes. So just to, where's it, Best Block on their Ultrapac-X, their record is 21 mold changes in one 24-hour shift. So they definitely utilize the features that they have on this. So it's good. Again, we've got some good comments back. So if you have questions relative to the use there, we'll be doing those at the end. But the way we achieve some of these changeovers is we automate the head clamp, which you saw in the video. You see 3 of the clamps there down in the circle. We have 2 of those on a 3 at a time. The 4 through 6 at a time, we'll put 3 of those clamps because of the wider stripper head plate. We also have a check valve in there so that we can hold the pressure to make sure that it doesn't lose the surface area or the connection there. And then we also have a pressure sensor or transducer on there so that if we lose pressure, something happens with the pump or a break in a line, we'll automatically shut the machine off because we know that those are going to drift down. Another neat feature that's on here is locking the head. Everybody's familiar with the chain that we used to have hanging there. I've heard horror stories where they do a mold change, put the chain on there and forget to unhook it, and it tears the chain off. So we've added what we call a clean out feature. It's used in mold changes, but also if you have shoes that have material sticking to them, a clump in the feed box, something in the mold that you need to get out, you can just push a button on the screen. It'll raise the head up. It'll lock that out. It'll come in and put that into that the wedge there, and then the feed box will come forward so that you can grab the clump or you can clean the shoe off, and you're going to do it safely. So you don't have to cycle the machine off, turn it back on, all of that good stuff. But I do want to throw the disclaimer in here. If you've got your own policies and procedures for lockout, please do what your plant says. Automated inner frame adjustment. So on the Dynapack, Ultrapac, Superpack machines, we had a little hydraulic pump that you would manually pump that up with cylinders. We've replaced that with 4 ball jacks, 1 in each corner, and then you can see the motor right above the 2 S's in Besser, and that drives all 4 at the same time. So we raise and lower the inner frame at the same rate, and it doesn't twist as we're going through there. So by being able to raise and lower the inner frame, we're able to put the top of the mold in the same place every time, depending on the height of the product that you're making. So the reason we want to do this is because we're using stripping cylinders now. So instead of changing a cam insert to do the stroke on your stripper head frame to bring the shoes down through the mold, we're going to do that with 2 cylinders that are attached to your stripper head shaft. So we want the cylinders to be full stroke. We don't want to go to the middle or anything like that, which is an issue as things start to wear, seals wear, the piston wears. So by full stroking that every time, we're sure we're going to get the same strip on each one of those. We can also use these cylinders to be a compaction assist for people that are familiar with air compaction. We can also put a little force down onto the top of the product. Quick adjust height pins. These are pretty much the same height pins that everybody's familiar with, but you don't have to grab a wrench to be able to turn them. The clamping nut and bolt on the top was replaced with a hydraulically actuated nut. So when you go to your mold change, you would press a button, it would unlock that nut, which would loosen up the clamp, and then you can go over and turn it by hand. the delay here.
Can you click on the screen?
Okay,
There we go.
there we go.
So the next section, we're just going to talk a little bit about cycle speed, what best block is experiencing, mode change and height change times, and then a little bit on mode life and maintenance costs. So the Ultrapac-X runs similar to an Ultrapac, so we would be expecting 9 cycles per minute. And that 9 cycles per minute includes 1.5 seconds of feed and 1.5 seconds of finish, which would be what we consider a typical time frame. Mode change within 10 minutes, and that does include the agitator bar cutoff. Those are still, you know, what you would expect with an Ultrapac these days. It is a manual operation. So if we were going to do a height change from or a mode change from an 8-inch to an 8-inch Ashlar, we can cut that 10 minutes down by not having to change the agitator grid and cutoff bar. And then height change within 18 minutes. That does include the mode change. So we're somewhere around 8 minutes for a height change if you were just doing that on its own. So with mode life, we talked a little bit about ASV vibration and how we can achieve synchronized vibration quickly and get a truly vertical vibration. So historically, we've seen mode life increase by about 30 to 35%. And then reduce maintenance costs on the overall machine by about 10%. And that includes not having maintenance on the Bescodines anymore for both the vibration and also for the main drive. And then with the reduced wear on the drivetrain, on the pinion, on the bolt gear, and on the feed box bushings, we're seeing around a 10% savings in annual maintenance costs.
Okay, so here's your last chance to participate. We'd like to know, how old is your block machine?
All right, about 10 more seconds.
We need the Jeopardy theme or something like that, Amy.
All right, we're going to go ahead and close that poll. So make your selections quick, quick, quick. All right, going to share those results for you, Dwayne.
Okay. Well, we got some pretty old equipment out there. So you can see the majority are over 15 years old. There's a couple of them that are 21 plus. So you've got a huge investment in that equipment now. You don't have a whole lot of time to pull one out and put a new machine in, although we'd love to sell you a new machine. We're able to do some things to update the equipment that's in the field. So pretty much all of the things we've shown you here, we can do with a set of parts to update in the field. The only two that we can't do is the inner frame and the stripping cylinders. What we would do is have a reconditioned machine here that we could send to your plant. We'd pull yours out, put that new one in, and we'd bring that back, and that would be the next one in the cycle that we would send to someone else. But each one of these we can do individually. Don't have to do all of them. It's kind of an a la carte type thing. So if you're interested in any of these, talk to your local Besser sales rep, and they can help you out with them. Okay, so see, there's some questions that came in here. See what we come up with.
Yeah, so the question from the audience is, are the multiple gates available on all width machines?
Typically, there's going to be one gate on a 3 at a time, but we can put 2 on that. When you go up to the 4, 5, 6 at a time, there will be either 2 or 3 gates on that one.
Fantastic. Okay, next question is, how much mold life is typically gained by using ASV?
You know, get that
So
one, Rob?
we're typically seeing about a 35% increase in mold life. And, you know, that again really is with the ability to keep that mold dancing up and down as opposed to side to side.
And one thing that we want to add there is we do have a little spreadsheet. So you could put your number of mold changes, number of height changes, and then there's a little formula in there for the amount of time that you run. And it will calculate an ROI for you to help you with mold savings and also the time that you would save by adding either the advanced servo vibration or the main servo drive on it. So that if those interest you, again, talk to your local sales rep, we can get that for you.
Great. All right. The next question is, what pallet sizes are available for the X series machines?
Someone wasn't listening to Ralph. I think he went through that, but gonna give that again, Ralph?
Yeah, absolutely. So the X machine is going to be available as a 3, 4, and a 6 at a time machine. So basically, we're going to be on a 3 at a time, 26 inches wide. We can go 18 and a half, 20 and a half deep. And when we get up to the larger machines, we're up to 52 inches, Dwayne, 52 by 26 deep. And then the 4 at a time would share those depths as well.
All right. Sounds good. All right. We have a question from the audience that is asking, are all the X series machines quick headlocks?
If you would order a brand new X machine, it would have all of these features. But if you want to just upgrade your machine, you could just put the headlocks on it as just one of the items that you would do. So again, it's kind of what is the issues that you have, what's your budget, and we can tailor that for what you want to do.
That sounds great. So the next question is, how do I know which Besser machine is best for my plant when it's time to replace my current V312?
Take a stab at that one, Ralph.
Yeah, absolutely. It really comes down to product mix. I mean, if you're going to be a producer that makes standard CMUs, you certainly don't fall into the same category as someone that does, as Dwayne mentioned, 21 mold changes in a 24-hour period. So we would like to look at, you know, the range of products that you make. How many height changes do you do? How many mold changes do you do? And what type of product you make? Do you make like a really low height product or something more difficult to make? And all of those ingredients really will tell us the best way to go for what type of machine, whether it be an X, whether it be a Servo-Pac Classic, Servo-Pac Select, or just even a standard cam machine. The product mix is what dictates that.
Very cool. All right. The next question is, what retrofits to an existing plant to replace an older Ultrapac with a new X series Ultrapac?
Again, we've got multiple options for you. We can replace the entire machine with a brand new one or reconditioned, which has all of the new features on it. Or we can just do 1, 2, 3 of the features that you want. Again, depending on what you make and what your budget is.
All right, sounds good. Okay, the next question from the audience is, can the headlocks be added to the V312 in the field?
And that'd be yes as well. We would have to replace the entire stripper head frame to be able to do that one, and there would be a little hydraulic power unit that would come with that.
Cool. Do you still offer block makers workshops?
Good question. That's based on our governor and COVID here in Michigan. if we can do in session. But we do have all intentions to start up the block maker workshops again this fall. So you should be seeing things in the Besser newsletters and then also on the Besser and WCCT websites.
Fantastic. All right. This last question is, how many plants are currently using ASV and opportunity? If you want to, I guess, share Terry's story about Jandris.
Okay. Go ahead, Ralph.
So I can answer the first part of that question. I'll let Dwayne do the second part. We currently have 81 ASV systems in use. Now, that does not include the ASVs that we have on Servo Pack Selects. We put that in a separate category. So we've actually done 81 retrofits on existing block machines. And that has been since 2000 and I believe it was 2013 when we started offering this feature.
Yeah, and just we had intended to have a couple of quotes or actual little videos from actual users of the ASV and Servo main drive. One of those being Jandris out in the Northeast. They're a family producer, and they purchased the first ASV and Servo main drive system and just installed it. And within months, they were like, well, we need to put this on our other machine. So it shows you don't have to be a large producer. You can have one or two machines, family business, and you're going to see savings right away. So again, we apologize because of COVID, we weren't able to get some of these little videos on there, but we can give you references of people that have done ASV retrofits, and you can do just the ASV, which is the vibration, or just the main drive, or you can do it in combination.
Awesome. All right. Well, it looks like there's no further questions. If you want to take a moment to do closing remarks, Dwayne and Ralph.
Sure thing. Just want to thank everyone for taking the time out of your busy days these days. On behalf of all the employee owners here, we appreciate your business, and we love to get out there to see you. And all of our field reps are doing their best to be able to get out there and visit you as the COVID rules permit.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo Dwayne's comments. We certainly appreciate you taking the time. If we haven't answered any questions, or maybe we've actually created some questions, please do reach out to your local sales rep, and we will do our best to get that information over to you.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Dwayne and Ralph, and thank you, Besser, for your amazing presentation. For the audience, Besser will be back sometime in November, so stay tuned for that. And we also thank you all for your participation. And that concludes today's Icon Plus 365 webinar. You may now disconnect.